Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Knight of Squires and this is Warhammer Total War 2 multiplayer. As always, if this is your first time joining me, welcome. If not, welcome back to another episode of the KoS Championship Tournament. Today we will be playing matches between Hydraneth and LunacyOfFenris. This is going to be a really good one, so I'm looking forward to this and we will get straight on with it. So here we are, we have Hydraneth playing Sartorial the Everwatcher again with 4 units of Chaos Marauders, 3 Gorbeast Chariot units, 3 units of Marauder Horsemen, 2 units of Spawn and a Hell Cannon. It's a nice mobile force, this one, with some solid Unbreakable in the middle and a lot of troops to eat up those firebolt, the fire from LunacyOfFenris, who is running with a Rune Lord and King Lun Ironhammer, 2 units of miners with blasting charges, 4 units of warriors with shields, 2 units of longbeards with great axes, a unit of slayers, a unit of giant slayers, 3 units of thunderers, and a cannon. So solid force here. There's a lot of mass in these units. They're not going anywhere. The anti-large from the great weapons, the slayers are just going to be really useful against things like these Spawn and the Gorbeast Chariots and the big things. Sartorial wants to watch out for them Giant Slayers because they will absolutely have him. So, looking at deployments, we have here the Hell Cannon and the 2 Chaos Spawn units, a little closer to the Hell Cannon than in the game against KoS. Perhaps slightly more concerned about flankers, which is hilarious given that the Dwarf army has basically nothing that can do that. 4 units of Chaos Marauders and Sartorial the Everwatcher. Over on the flanks we have the 3 Gorbeast Chariots all the way over here and the 3 units of Marauder Horsemen all the way over here. This is an awfully long way for them to run. They're going to tire themselves out before they even get there, but they will do quite a lot of damage when they do. As for Clan Angren, we have a Runesmith, or Rune Lord, sorry, which looks cool. Look at that. He's on his own little porta potty. Look at that, with a little anvil. Huh, isn't that cool? Then you've got warriors, longbeards, thunderers, slayers, giant slayers. More thunderers, cannon, warriors, slayers, great weapons, warriors, thunderers. And then King Lun there in the middle. Ethereal, meaning that it can only be damaged by magic. Well, not only, but he's 75% non-magic resistance. So he's going to take a lot to kill for a lot of that Chaos army. Miners with blasting charges and more Dwarf warriors. It's almost formed 2 distinct walls there. We'll see how that plays out. The Spawn do not have magic attacks, so it is just the Hell Cannon and Sartorial that can really deal with Lun, but we'll see how it all goes as we press play. So immediately we'll have a look at this Dwarf army, and the cannons are speaking. Straight in and jibs 7 Chaos Warriors, but in return the Hell Cannon jibs 2 miners. Straight off the bat, neither side can afford to just stand around because those artillery pieces do so much damage. Here we go again. Oh, it's a miss. The moving the miners, whereas the cannon jibs a few more, does some damage to the Chaos Spawn. I think that one's possibly... No, he's okay, but... this bolt into the middle of those Dwarf miners. Oh, just a few more of them are not getting up. Look at that, there's a couple of miners there and never getting up again. And the cannons aiming for Sartorial. Oh dear. Hydraneth's army has pulled away from the Chaos Hell Cannon to give it some space. Obviously seeing that there's nothing that can really deal with it. The Thunderers managed to dodge that shot. And the Gorbeasts and things are moving across the field, as are all these cavalry. I don't know if LunacyOfFenris has seen them. He's forming quite a line over there. I don't know if he's noticed. Searing bolts coming down. Oh, Gehenna's Golden Hounds, but the miners have narrowly dodged that. It is a vortex, so it will move around for a bit, and it looks like it's going to hit absolutely nothing. That is unfortunate for Hydraneth there. Thunderers ripping into these Chaos Marauders as they charge the miners through a field of blasting charges. And absolutely cutting them to ribbons. But the cavalry is behind. They have got behind the Dwarven lines. A searing bolt's going down on a single target entity doesn't do very much. Popping the Master Rune of Negation for a further damage resistance. I don't know how much of his stuff that hits. It appears that it's an aura rather than a pulse, so it's hit a few of his units as they've moved up. The cannon has now been engaged by the Marauder Horsemen, but the Thunderer unit have turned around and opened fire into them. That has silenced the cannon for some time though. What is going on here? More magic, more runes, more nonsense. And the Chaos Warriors, so the Marauders are now engaged with Dwarf Warriors who, let's be honest, probably are going to probably win this engagement. In comes Lun, giving a nice bastion of leadership alongside the Rune Lord, and these two guys are wavering, shaken, and deciding not to carry on there. They've rallied, but the cannon crew are broken. I don't think they're going to get back on that cannon anytime soon. Which is going to be a problem for LunacyOfFenris, as although this unit of Giant Slayers have run right the way around to this Hell Cannon and are dealing with that. Okay, not what I would have thought they would go for. Searing bolts coming down, missing his intended target entirely as the Slayers chase Sartorial around. This is not where Sartorial wants to be, but here he is anyway, getting chased by Slayers. Not really doing a whole lot else except being chased by Slayers. Lun is in the middle of this Chaos Marauder blob, just like, I don't care. I'll happily do this. I'll play this game all day. The Thunderers are getting attacked by the Gore Beasts, and the Cannon crew have rallied, although they are getting shot by these Marauder Horsemen. If they break again, they're into the back of the Dwarf Cannon crew. They're absolutely not going anywhere. Balance of power is still pretty even. Sartorial given up being chased by Slayers now. He's had enough of that. Dwarves just hacking into spawn left, right and centre. Thunderers launching bullets into these Chaos Marauders that are just standing there taking it for the moment. Their shields will protect them, but not enough. And Sartorial has gone into these warriors, absolutely had enough of being chased around. He wants to get some blood on his claws at this point. Gorbeast chariots have come in and are now engaged with Slayers, which is possibly not where they want to be. Like, they will do some work there, but it's not where they want to be. That unit looks like it's rallying again. The artillery is rallying again. It could come back to the cannons at a really late moment. I think the Hell Cannon has been completely silenced at this point. Yeah, the Giant Slayers have cut the crew to ribbons. They are some ugly... That is an ugly looking cannon, isn't it? And now the Slayers are off to go and deal with these Chaos Marauders. Everything in the middle of the Chaos lines is breaking. The Rune Lord is just saying absolutely no thank you. He's completely just owning it. Sartorial still being chased by dwarves, including Slayers. These Slayers have decided that they're going to stop and have a snack on some of these horsemen, which is probably not great for the horsemen, who have now broken. The Thunderers have got decent ammo left, and they have the cannon crew has rallied.
I have a kink in my ass.
If it decides to come over there and goes back on that cannon, it could be really problematic for Sartorial and the Chaos. But the Longbeards with great weapons, big old anti-large, decided that Sartorial needed chopping down to size. His Marauder Horsemen are here with him, but the handgunners are starting to fire in. Unfortunately, the cannon crew have decided that melee is where they want to be today. not on the cannons, melee. I think they needed to jump back on those cannons and deal with that. Over here, you've got miners chasing Marauder Horsemen. Okay. Couple units of... There's the Thunderer here. And the Dwarf Warriors just hacking into these Gore-Beast chariots. Not going to win that fight, I don't think. But Sartorial is over here dropping... Oh, it's Gehenna's Golden Hounds again, I think. Nope, Searing Bolts. Hitting that one poor dwarf who does survive. Nope, he does survive. But the dwarf army is starting to rally around the Rune Lord now, and there's not a lot of the KoS left. These miners still chasing these Marauder Horsemen who have now run out of ammo, so will actually just come and engage these miners. Except, nope, they won't. They're just going to keep running. Sartorial wandering about looking for something easy to munch on. I think he's picked those miners, but they're an awfully long way away. Thunderers have rallied. Not good for the Sartorial. Gore-Beast Chariot, on the other hand, being at basically full health, pretty handy. The Rune Lord is... They're coming into these warriors, these Longbeards with great weapons. The Rune Lord is coming to intervene. Where did Lund go? Did he die? Did Lund die? No, he's still here. Basically at full health. Completely fine. Chasing around the back of the map. This Gore-Beast Chariot is basically dead. This one is now engaged in Longbeards. Possibly not where they wanted to be. And Thunderers just firing into this combat. The Rune Lord is here. Everybody is here. The Gore-Beast Chariots probably don't want to be here much longer. They want to go and charge into those Thunderers who are running moderately low on ammo. There's only 2 of them escaped. One of them is here still chunking his way through these Longbeards. The Thunderers have been completely run over. Sartorial has buggered off. He's all the way over here getting chased by Slayers again as the one final Gore-Beast Chariot comes into the middle of them. I don't think he's going to last long though. They do a lot of damage. But nice complete through charge there. And that's that dead. And then Sartorial coming off over here to deal with, finally a threat to Lun. Because Sartorial will kill Lun. I'm pretty certain he could probably take him. He's got no armor, but he is ethereal. Except he also appears to have magic resistance, probably about 35% given that he's a dwarf. Which just seems silly to me. Why are dwarves so good? Why are dwarves so good? 15% magic resistance. The KoS are losing now. There is pretty much just this one Gore-Beast Chariot. Well, there's 2 left, but this one unit of Gore-Beast Chariots who once again are running into Thunderers, which is really not where they're cross-fired by Thunderers. This is not where they want to be. One of these is falling down any second. I can see it. Oh, and they're picking up speed, and they've changed direction. Oh dear, because they fled. They broke, and now gunned down. 280 health left. He might escape, but he's been completely gunned down, and there is just Sartorial left. And he's having a whale of a time at the moment, but any moment... Oh, Thunder is firing in now, and those Slayers are going to get to him, and his whale of a time is going to go down real fast. So off he goes, look. He's running away, he's having none of this. And these Slayers are chasing him, but they're never going to catch him. He moves much faster than they do. Although that hill. He's off to go and get those Thunderers, who are probably just going to shoot him as he runs up to them. Yep, couple more shots into him now, look. His health is dropping. He doesn't regenerate. But he is getting shot. And the Slayers still running. These guys are so tired. But he's been slowed by the Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin. That slow there, allowing these Slayers to get to him. His greater mass will just let him push out from them. But look at his health go down as these guys just absolutely go to town on him. Then the handgunners are firing in. There's nothing in the dwarf list with enough mass to stop him, but the Wrath and Ruin has absolutely held him in place, and now the Slayers are there. King Lun is coming, but those Slayers and the other unit of Slayers, all the Slayers, all of the time, just jibbing a good number of them, but look at that, his health just plummets to nothing, and shot. I think one Thunderer over there just shot him in the face and killed him. What a game. What a game. I enjoyed that a lot. Looking at it, the Chaos Marauders did, this unit did alright, everybody else didn't do great. The Gorby's Chariots were golden. The Hell Cannon did okay, but it got turned off relatively early, and the Spawn were alright. As for the Chaos, the Cannon got some decent kills. Lund did alright, he did great. The Slayers were moderate. They were kind of up and down depending on what they were fighting, but it was a really close game. Not a huge number of kills on either side, but really good. Really, really good. Okay, so moving on to the next game, I will see you on the loading screen. So we've got Tomb Kings with a Grand Hierophant Katep, a couple units of Swordsmen, a couple units of Spearmen, a couple units of Archers, 3 units of Cav, some Sepulchral Stalkers, 2 War Sphinx, and the Casket of Souls. Versus Grimgore Ironhide, the biggest and the best. Savage Orc Biggins, 2 units of Black Orcs with great weapons. I think this is the Crimson Killers or the Immortals. I'm not entirely certain. I will have a look when we load up. 2 units of Goblin Archers. The Regiment of Renown Boar Boys, whose name I don't know, and I will check when we get in. The Arachnarok Spider. And 2 units of Spider Riders. There's a lot of Regiments of Renown in here, and this is some real big anti-large stuff, which is good given the amount of cavalry and Sepulchral Stalkers and 2 War Sphinx. Grimgore is a beast to behold now. He's pretty meaty all on his own, so this could be a really good game. There's a lot of chaff in the Hydraneth army, but obviously that's because it's all skeletons. It's pretty much all chaff. Let's jump in and we'll have a look at those Regiments of Renown and we'll have a look at the deployments. Let's just have a peek. So, yep, we've got... Oh, is that 2? Yep, that's a Casket of Souls and Grand Hierophant also on a Casket of Souls. This is going to be some serious artillery fire here. Whereas the entire Orc army appears to be over here in the woods. 2 Spider Rider units have been seen, I believe, by these Skeleton Horsemen. They are a little close. Then you've got Black Orcs, the Crimson Killers, and more Black Orcs. 2 Great Axe, 3 Great Axe Infantry. The Crimson Killers are absolute armed to the teeth, anti-infantry, armoured and armour-piercing, immune to psychology, which is quite nice. Big weapon damage, big armour-piercing weapon damage, and decent armor. Like, these guys are pretty much cleave through several foes with one swing. Look at that. Where, like, these guys are absolutely mental. Grimgore with all of his kit is absolutely wonderful to see. I love seeing Grimgore. He's probably my favorite Orc Lord. The Arachnarok Queen, poison, anti-large, armor piercing, absolutely nasty. I think she can spawn spiders. Maternal Instinct summons a unit of spider hatchlings, can be used 5 times. Gosh. Causes terror. Yeah. All that good stuff. 7,000 health. And then over here we have just this unit of Orc Boar Boys, the Broken Tusks mob. Bigger Armada, giving them basically additional mass. And then anti-large, armor-piercing, armoured. Look at this. Yeah, more charge bonus. These guys are great. So, the Skeleton Horsemen are here in the woods, along with the Sepulchral Stalkers. And let's see how this goes. The 2 Casket of Souls seems mental to me. Unfortunately, with the Orc cavalry being all the way over there, I don't necessarily know how effective that will be. But the Goblins have already begun firing into these Skeleton Horsemen, and the Sepulchral Stalkers have been seen. and are getting shot by spider riders. Obviously, the spider riders do have poisoned arrows, so they do slow down units that hit them, and the orcs are probably going to just engage and munch on all of these skeleton horsemen. Your troops have uncovered hidden foes. Oh dear, said this unit of skeleton horsemen. This probably not where we want it to be. The Nekaharan army not moving. Everything else, I think, is chasing these goblins, or trying to fall back to a position where they might not just get massacred by this entire orc army that's coming charging down the mountain at them. This was probably not great deployment, but there comes the caskets, absolutely chunking into the Crimson Killers. Oof. Absolutely chunking them. These casket souls are nasty when they start opening up. I don't know if he actually... Does he do the firing that the casket does? I don't know. Hopefully not, because that would be really dangerous. Like, really dangerous. But it doesn't look like it. So, the hidden foes again. More skeletal horsemen getting turned into mush. And those caskets are just doing so much damage into those orcs. Like, even the black orcs are just getting massacred by them. They really need to get out of these woods now and go and engage those lines. Or those cavalry need to come and silence them. They appear to have stopped moving, which is not ideal. The War Sphinxes are turning. The entire Nekaharan army is turning to defend the caskets. It's obviously seen the cavalry back here lurking about. But it's pretty rough for the orcs sat here in this mob, just getting rained death upon. The Sepulchral Stalkers spitting poison at Grimgor, slowing him down. Looks like they're getting ready for another volley, and Grimgor just eats a casket and the Sepulchral Stalkers all at once, but he gets in. And then their own side takes one of those shots from the casket. Yikes. These skeletal horsemen are crumbling. All the skeletal horsemen are crumbling. They don't want to be here anymore. And the orcs are about to come charging out of the woods. The Arachnarok will be one of the first out. And Grimgor's still eating those casket shots. Hydraneth clearly realizing that if he can get rid of Grimgor, the leadership bastion is gone. All the archers are firing into Grimgor and the Savage Orcs and the Black Orcs. The Arachnarok Queen, on the other hand, happily munching her way through a unit of... and now taking her fair share of fire as well. The orcs still... The orc cavalry has now started coming round. They are fresh and happy and are about to come charging into what I believe to be skeletal horsemen and into these skeletal swordsmen. But the caskets are just launching death. The War Sphinx versus the Arachnarok. There's an awful lot going on here. There's fights going everywhere. Incantation of desiccation gone down on the orcs. And the arrows, the goblin archers are firing in. There are your little hatchlings running around. Running around eating things. They've broken, unfortunately. The goblin archers have broken after a couple shots from that, and the cavalry have engaged. They have come charging up into the Sepulchral Stalkers. They've kind of dodged the cavalry and have come into the back of them, into the Sepulchral Stalkers. They are anti-large, which means that they'll do monstrous things against them, but they in turn are anti-large, so will do quite a lot of damage back, and I know that one of these was probably more expensive than the other. Again, these caskets are just doing a number on this orc army. Just raining death into it. Just constantly firing. I think that did more damage to his own spearmen than it did to any of the Black Orcs. But here comes another volley into the back of the Crimson Killers. And the Arachnarok is breaking. She really didn't want to be taking on 2 War Sphinx and a casket. Black Orcs are breaking. Grimgor is chilling in the middle. He's decided he's going to go and take the Hierophant down, I think. He's activated Gitsnik, but I think a lot of his abilities are going to come off. Yeah, they're going to stop working before he gets there. He's running Last Samurai style at, and there's the Wa. 25% damage, immune to psychology, and he's completely engaged by spearmen, I think the swordsman, sorry, and shot by archers. He's going to do an absolute number on these guys, but I don't know if he's going to last longer than he's going to break. He's absolutely chunking them. Like, he kills like 3 or 4 with a swing. And the casket's raining death into these fleeing arrows. These guys, bindings are restored. In they come. Forest Goblin Spider Riders. The Arachnarok is back to decent leadership and is breaking this Kemrian War Sphinx. She definitely is winning that fight, but I don't know if she can take on the second one, and that's it. Army losses, kicked out. That was rough. That was a rough one for LunacyOfFenris. Running all that way through the woods, taking all that shot from the Casket of Souls. 153 kills on the Casket and 55 on the Grand Hierophant. That is rough. That is some kill counts there. 30 odd kills on the ranged units and the War Sphinx. Grimgor got 27. The Crimson Killer's got 50. They got lots of kills, but it's just unfortunately not on anything that really mattered. So that is 1-1 now. LunacyOfFenris and Hydraneth 1-1. We'll go into the last battle, and I will see you there. And here we are again. We have this time Hydraneth playing the Dwarves and LunacyOfFenris playing the Lizardmen. Hydraneth has brought a Lord, some warriors, a couple units of Slayers, 2 units of Iron Drakes, Thunderers, Cannon, Organ Gun, and 2 Flame Cannons. Where LunacyOfFenris has brought Gorok, the Great White Lizard, a Skink Priest of Heavens on a Pterodon, a unit of Skinks, a couple units of Red Cresteds, 2 units of Saurus with shields, 2 units of regular Skinks with blowpipes, Feral Cold Ones, Razordon Herd, Horned One Riders, a Feral Bastillodon, and 2 units of Fire Leech Bowler Pterodon Riders. It's a very mobile force, this one. Not a lot of staying power aside from the 2 units of Saurus and potentially the red crested skinks, but it's a lot of, and obviously the great white lizard himself, but it's a lot of mobility here. So I think what we're going to try and see here is for some flanking forces to quiet these guns, because there are a lot of very large guns in this list. So let's have a quick look at the deployments. The Dwarves, we have Slayers and Iron Drakes, Slayers and Iron Drakes, Warriors in the front, Thunderers in the back, the Thane, or the Lord, sorry, and then all the artillery. All 4 pieces of artillery here at the back. So that's that. Dwarves have got a nice static force, not a lot of flanking going on there. The Skink Priest of Heavens is way out in the front there. Then you've got the Feral Bastillodon. In the woods, we have a Razordon Herd, couple units of Saurus Warriors with shields, couple units of red-crested skinks, and the skink cohort. Gorok, the Great White Lizard. The Horned One Cavalry and the Feral Cold Ones. And then over here, we have both units of skinks. It's a very, as I say, a very mobile force. So let's see how LunacyOfFenris makes use of that in this battle. Not going to be a whole heap of movement from the Dwarves right off the bat, I don't imagine. So we're mostly looking for the Skinks and the Lizardmen to pick these engagements, I think. Skinks have moved further into those woods, but nothing else has moved so far. The Dwarves absolutely not wanting to come any closer if they don't have to. They would like to stay where this artillery can shoot at everything that comes near them. Like, for example, this Heavens Caster, who's come for a little scooch forward a bit. And then right behind, I didn't see these originally, the Fire Leech Bowlers are right behind the Dwarven lines. So far back, I don't think even Hydraneth has seen them. Waiting for that perfect moment to just bomb the artillery crews out of existence. The Skinks are going wide, and the Slayers are pulling back. I think, have they potentially seen? No, I don't think so. It looks like LunacyOfFenris is going for a large, flanking maneuver, coming right the way around here on the flanks, and the dwarves are moving. They've clearly realised that they would like to have slightly more open lines of sight here. So they've brought themselves down from their chokehold in the trees. The pterodons have still not moved. The Skinks are floating about here, ready. The cold ones and horned ones are moving around this flank. Even the Skink Priest is making a movement in this direction. They're definitely reorganizing the battle lines here to try and get more open lines of sight for the artillery, whilst LunacyOfFenris is definitely trying to flank around the Dwarven lines to try and hit them from behind. The Heavens Caster has come forward, possibly to scout these woods. Good play here by LunacyOfFenris, trying to work out what is likely to be an issue going forwards. And he is going to see these any moment now. Or not. He did change direction, and he has cast an Hydraneth's Thunderbolt on the artillery, dealing a little bit of damage to this artillery crew, and being answered in kind with cannons. Took a small chunk of damage. I assume that was mostly from get a stray cannonball, but a couple of them are hitting him, so he needs to be careful floating around out there. Like, for example, not standing still like this. This is not being careful. There we go. Because there come those cannonballs. This is a trick LunacyOfFenris saw played against him by Mandos Mizu in an earlier round in this tournament, where you just float your caster on its flying mount just at the range of the guns that give you enough time to dodge. But the Skinks over here have seen and been seen by the Iron Drakes in the forest. They are not the preferred targets for Skinks. Their ammunition is not armor piercing in any real capacity. It does 2 armor piercing damage, so they are not going to do a whole heap against those dwarves. But the Pterodon Rider still managing to dodge all of those cannonballs and is steadily wasting the ammunition of those cannons. It's took very little damage so far and eaten up quite a few cannonballs. So this is a good play by LunacyOfFenris here, while the rest of his army scooches round, completely out of sight of Hydraneth, and it's going well. It's going well, I feel. The cavalry now, however, is probably visible to the Iron Drakes in the woods. This is the dangerous moment where, running past those woods, these Iron Drakes are likely to jump out and start flamethrowering them. This is the dangerous moment. The artillery is continuing to push down the hill. Now is the time to move, given that nothing is currently moving. Now is the time to go for it. I think the caster is going for another... Yep, Hydraneth's Thunderbolt on the artillery crew again. That one did a boatload more damage. Look at that. That did a whole heap of damage. That killed 2 dwarves. 2 whole dwarves got electrocuted. Poor guys. Probably frazzled their beards. The lines for LunacyOfFenris are being redrawn in long strips. Great until a cannonball comes rolling down the line, honestly, but the Skink Chief is now casting a Chain Lightning right in the front of the dwarf lines. It has unfortunately scooched off in the wrong direction, but did a sizable chunk of damage to this Dwarf Warrior unit. Like, it's a noticeable chunk. Not enough, but it's probably a waste of wins. I'd have gone a little deeper with it and had it bounce around in their lines for a little longer. But good attempt. Good attempt. Winds of Magic not currently in... Well, I mean, the Dwarves don't have any, so you don't have to worry too much about them. And the Fire Leech Bowlers are on the move now. Again, trying to stay hidden. Trying to stay away so that they can bomb. This is proper Jurassic Park style here, with like everything scooching into the trees. There's dinosaurs in the trees ready to just jump out and murder people. And the Thunderers have seen the Fire Leech Bowlers, and they've decided to go. I personally think this would have been the moment to just go for it. The Flame Cannon launching does a chunk and really, really does a number on their leadership. Like, holy hell, that is chunking them down. The Organ Gun and the Flame Cannon doing a really, really serious number on them. Now the Skinks are occupying the Fire Drakes. The Iron Drake, sorry, which is great if the cavalry then want to move, and the rest of the army is going, and the cavalry are going in. They're coming. They're making their way round. I think they're planning to just flank right the way around Hydraneth's army and come round from the back, while all of his dwarf warriors are waiting for this line to come crashing into the front of them. I don't think they're gonna. The entire Lizardmen army is sneaking around the flanks, and now they are engaged. The Slayers are engaging large units, which is what they want, and they have broken the Feral Cold Ones. They've caused them to go out of control, and then they're just going to cut them to ribbons, and they're broken, they're fleeing. Feral Cold Ones are okay, but they really don't want to be charging into things like Slayers. That's not where they want to be. The Razordon Hunting Pack is in melee at this point, possibly also not where they want to be. I don't. They have a fairly decent missile. They probably want to just be firing those in, honestly. The Slayers are getting chunked up quite badly by them. The red-crested Skinks are going in. Oh, this is the Skink cohort. And the Feral Bastillodon is in. Everything has come charging into these Slayers. Absolutely everything, and Hydraneth is just not committing anything more to this engagement except artillery fire now streaming into these woods now that everything is visible. The Fire Leech Bowlers are dropping bombs on the Slayers. These Slayers are not long left for this world, but they are doing their job and holding the entire Lizardmen army back. Meanwhile, the Skink Priest is floating about over here. I assume he's going to try and drop... Yep, he's going to drop another... Is that a Comet of Cassandora? Or a Iranan's Thunderbolt? It's another Iranan's Thunderbolt on that Flame Cannon, just to really chunk some more damage into them. The Iron Drakes are currently completely unharmed almost, although that unit is getting shredded now. The Slayers have been wiped out. The other unit is still there, holding up the entire line, but getting shot repeatedly now. I don't see them being long left. They will get their honourable death that they have desired for so long. The Iron Drakes are falling back, and LunacyOfFenris' army is remaining in the woods for now. However, the Pterodon Riders are coming round to try and bomb the artillery. The Thunderers are absolutely murdering them, and the cannons and organ guns are trying to get them as well. The Priest has come round the flank. I think maybe looking for another Chain Lightning, potentially. A Chain Lightning on this Thunderer unit to rip through all this would be absolutely glorious right now. The Lizardmen have broken out of the trees. This unit of Fire Drakes is broken. That unit of Slayers is basically dead. There's 3 Slayers left. And there is the Chain Lightning into the artillery crews, not doing a whole lot, but now about to sweep into the back, into those Iron Drakes, Iron Drakes, and into the back of those Dwarf Warriors. Look at that damage on those Iron Drakes and those Dwarf Warriors. It's really, absolutely blown a hole in that flank there. That was glorious. The skink skirmishers are still firing at those iron drakes to make sure that they don't come back. There are only 8 of them, and now the flame cannons and thunderers have answered them. The skink cohort is coming running out, hoping to eat some missile fire, I think. The cold ones, the horned ones, have flanked right the way around into the woods, and another Uranus thunderbolt coming down on this cannon. It's a big one. Here it comes. Oh, it's a comet! Boom! Does a load of damage to that cannon crew. They won't be firing in them for any time soon. They are now getting up, and the cold one, the horned ones are into the artillery crews. This is where it gets dangerous for Hydraneth. The artillery is now occupied by skink priests and horned ones, and none of their thunderers are free to do anything about it. The Bastillodon comes charging into the iron drakes, bonks the Lord on his backside. The skink cohort's fallen back, but the Bastillodon has got cold-blooded to prevent the rampage and are still firing into these handgunners. The fire cannons are still launching into these Saurus, but the shields are holding up for now. They're losing a few models here and there, but a lot less than they would otherwise be. And it is absolute chaos going on now, but these red-crested skinks have broken. Gorok is in and amongst them. He is immune to psychology. He has the Rock of Itza and the Shield of Eons. He is just not going anywhere. He is basically impossible to kill, but he really needs to get into combat somewhere at this point. The Lord has come to take on this Feral Bastillodon, and he's doing some serious chunk. Gorok absolutely taking fire from those Iron Drakes, getting mobbed by Dwarf Warriors in the back, and then the Lord comes to engage. And it is fire as the giant lizard bashes the dwarf onto his backside. His mass is just so much bigger. But the amount of fire coming into Gorok at that point,
I have a kink in my ass!
he's not particularly wounded yet. He's got about two-thirds of his health left. Skink cohort are getting onto it. Saurus warriors fighting dwarf warriors with skinks shooting in the back. The flame cannons still launching into these units over here. Unable, like the skink priest is just unable to tie the entire crew up, and the warriors have turned up now to see him off. Thunderers are about to open fire, except that most of them are being bothered by these breaking horned ones. They're just in the way. And the skink priest is wavering. He doesn't like this fight. Gorok has broken. The sheer weight of fire from these Iron Drakes has decided that he is not having it today. Bastillodon going to see these Thunderers off before they do too much more damage to Gorok. And that's that. And then they're breaking. Everything looks like it's breaking at this point. There are some units rallied around the battle occasionally. There's like 3 Iron Drakes here versus those skinks. But with Gorok fleeing, things do not look good for the lizard men. The Iron Drakes pouring fire onto that skink priest, and he is down for the count. He is getting the hell out of dodge. The flame cannon crew have left, but I don't know if it's going to be enough at this point. There's so much firepower coming out of Hydraneth's army. These skink skirmishers are fighting dwarf warriors, which is not an ideal engagement for them. However, this cannon crew, organ gun crew, and thunderers are engaged by red-crested skinks, which is probably a decent trade for the skinks, although they are struggling to get rid of them. And the priest has arrived again. He's still wavering, and he's very tired, but there he is. And I think he's just going to break again when this cannon crew turns up. Not that the cannon crews are particularly scary, but it's just the flanking force, and he's not... Gorok has returned, however. Popping, Stand Your Ground, Cold-Blooded, Mace of Ulamak, Shield of Eons. He's just so slow, you know? He's taking very little damage from all of those buffs that he's got. But those flamethrowers really, really are hurting him. He's got regeneration. He's gonna slowly go back up, I think. but it's a tough one. The Thunderers are running away. He's definitely just not going to get engaged in time for all of his buffs. His buffs have run out, but he is in amongst the dwarves now. Gorok, the great white lizard, absolutely shredding dwarves. Like, a couple of these guys are never getting up again. There's some grudges entered. And there he goes. He's fleeing with a whopping 300 health. These Saurus have gone nuts. This is not what you want. They're going to break. The priest is actually still around, which surprises me. These Thunderers are clearly not the mighty melee combatants. But that looks like Army Losses is getting awfully close. Gorok is broken. It's pretty much just these skinks and the Feral Bastillodon holding the line at this point. The skink priest is still holding for now, but if he ever takes off, those Thunderers are going to gun him out of the air. The Lord? Did the Dwarf Lord die? No. The enemy Lord is dead. Gorok has died. The Great White Lizard has fallen. Thunderers gunning him down in, excuse the pun, in cold blood as he flees. The Skink Priest has broken, and that is it. That is Army Losses hitting everything in the Lizardmen army, and that is it. What a game. Some really nice play there with the maneuvering and the flanking and trying to get around everybody. Really, really enjoyed that. Looking at the kill counts, we've got 135, 73, 43 and 37. The artillery crews did great here. The Slayers did amazingly, 42 and 18, really doing well, holding that line and holding the entire Lizardmen army back briefly. The Warriors then held the line, whilst the Handgunners, 21 and 38, they did great. But really the artillery was the big saving grace of that list. As for LunacyOfFenris' list, the Bastillodon getting 49 and the Horned Ones getting 82. The Feral Cold Ones didn't get any kills, and the Razordons really probably didn't make their gold back. The Skink Priest getting 32 with some nice spells dropped off. I'd potentially, that early, the earliest Chain Lightning was a little off where it needed to be, but that's the problem with Vortex spells, is they occasionally run off on their own. Yeah, really good game by both players. Hydraneth claims the win with a 2-1 record. Really good games. I really enjoyed playing that, well, watching those games. I hope you did as well. If so, please drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel to see more content like this going forwards. And as always, it has been lovely to have you all, and I will see you tomorrow.